As the world around us continues to grow and change, more and more laws are enforced to keep our lives in order. These laws guarantee mistakes to be made, mistakes with consequences. It is estimated that 1% of the U.S. prison population, approximately 20,000 people, are falsely convicted. Innocent Project 1. Papillion was wrongly convicted in 1931 for murder. Henry Charrier, born on November 1906 in France, grew up south of France with his father. He later completed his military service in the Navy. The survival rate was roughly 38%, Budge.com. These unfair conditions on Aloysius the Salute later led to it finally shutting down in 1953. Prison life. Henry Charrier, as a young man, was a safecracker and a thief. He was arrested in 1931 for murdering a gangster. He later denied the charges and was sent to Cayenne, a penal colony, which are distant or overseas settlements established by forced labor and isolation from society, Britannica 1. Soon after arriving, Charrier's goal became clear: to escape. About 0.2% of prisoners in the United States escaped. ISMonitor.com 1. Of the 80,000 sent to Aloysius the Salute, very few returned. Bleecker Street 1. As the odds were against him, he fought back against the many laws on the island. Aloysius the Salute held all of France's dangerous gangsters and criminals throughout the 1900s. Sydney Morning Herald, once a criminal sentenced to life on the island, put into steel cages below decks and a prison ship with 100 other convicted criminals. Budge.com. Charrier's first prison escape was on November 28, 1933, after 3 years in captivity. He was joined with André Martyret and Johannes Closet, both criminals on the island. The group later separated, and Charrier later sailed away into the Gulf of America on a boat. That's when he crashed his vessel and lived among a native tribe in the thick jungle for several years. All that's interesting. 1. French authorities soon caught up to him and spent 2 years in solitary confinement. Another 7 years in Aloysius the Salute. He made as many as 7 failed prison attempts. After numerous prison attempts, he successfully escaped on his 8th and final attempt, accompanied with a ruthless pirate, known for raiding ships and killing everyone aboard for money and goods. In 1944, they navigated shark-infested waters on a raft strung together. All that's interesting. 1. Of the duo, only one survived. Sylvain died after abandoning his coconut sack and slowly sinking in quicksand. He found refuge in Venezuela, worked as a gold digger, oil prospector, and pearl merchant, and did other odd jobs before settling down in Caracas, marrying, opening a restaurant, and becoming a prosperous Venezuelan citizen. Burton Lindham of the New York Times.
Ready? I must tell you something.
Louis, you don't have to say anything.
I meant to. I'm sorry.
I know.
You'll be killed. You know that.
Maybe.
Please don't do it.
this video shown previously was one of the final scenes of Papillion. Papillion, meaning butterfly in French, is both a book and a movie. The movie explains the epic story of Henry Papillion Scherer, a safecracker from the Parisian underworld who was framed for murder and condemned to life in the notorious penal colony of Îles de Salute Island. Determined to regain his freedom, Papillion forms an unlikely alliance with convicted counterfeiter Louis Daguet, who in exchange for protection goes to finance Papillion's escape. Film synopsis 1. Book Papillion is an autobiographical novel written by Henry Scherer, published in France on April 30th, 1969. The books show an increased depth of Henry Scherer, nicknamed Papillion for the butterfly tattoo in his chest, was convicted in Paris, 1931, of a murder he did not commit. Sentenced to life imprisonment in the penal colony of French Ghana, he became obsessed with one goal: escape. After planning and executing a series of treacherous yet failed attempts over many years, he was eventually sent to the notorious prison Îles de Salute Island, a place from which no one had ever escaped, until Papillion. His flight to freedom remains one of the most incredible feats of human cunning, will, and endurance ever undertaken. Bookshop 1. The book sold a remarkable 700,000 copies in just the first 10 weeks upon its publication in 1969. The secret to the book's success was simple, according to Scherer. All you need to do is write it the way you would talk it, he said. Oh, that's amazing. 1. Îles de Salute began in 1854 and finally ended in 1953. It housed political criminals such as Captain Alfred Dreyfus, its most famous prisoner. The island was known for its reputation for harshness and brutality. Violence between prisoners was common. Tropical diseases killed many prisoners, and small amounts of broken people returned to France. Napoleon III sent men of his political enemies to Îles de Salute when he first seized power in 1851. He sent 239 Republicans who resisted his power grab and sent them to the island. He sought the island to rid and solve its problem. The environment is the surrounding conditions in which a person, animal, or plant lives or operates. Îles de Salute is known for its extreme conditions endured by many prisoners. Of the 80,000 prisoners sent to the island, very few returned. The region was mosquito-infected with insects transmitting tropical diseases and its unsafe environment. Now, French Ghana is warm enough for swimming year-round. Its average temperature is approximately 85 degrees Fahrenheit. It is often a popular tourist destination. Its landscape, including lower-lying plains and small mountains. It is both a tropical rainforest, a tropical moonsun, which are temperatures above 64 degrees Fahrenheit in the dry season. All in all, French Ghana's climate is now tropical, hot, humid throughout the year. Some compare Îles de Salute as one of the many labor camps in other wars. A labor camp is a detention facility where prisoners are forced to engage in some form of punishment. Labor or concentration camps were used in many wars such as World War I and more popularly known as World War II. Although Îles de Salute wasn't as harsh and brutal as World War II's concentration camps, it is important to recognize the pain each prisoner experienced on the island. Henry Scherer, more popularly known as Papillion, created a hope to do the impossible. He shared his story with the world and remembered as a man against all odds. Our lives are our stories to write. Live your life like today's your last.